Welcome to Conversations at Closing. I'm your host, Jake Shellman. Real conversations with real people in real estate. And today our guest is Shawn Nemitz, realtor, connector, all around genuine person. Cue the music. It's time for CTC. Shawn, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm excited. This one's a good one for me.
Me too. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. So I've known you for, man, how long has it been? Like
Almost
8,
10 years.
9, 10 years? Man. So first you were a client of mine, and now you got into the real estate world, and you are a prime example of like conversations to business and conversations to closing, right? Like we sat down, talked, went through your goals and ideals, and you've bought like 9 properties since then. But you and your husband are amazing. You guys love to kind of scoop up properties, make them better, and make a better life for people, including yourself. So bravo to you guys.
Thank you. And thanks for being part of that because we really couldn't have done it without you guys.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to do it. So I guess I always kind of start off these conversations with like, what are some things people would say about you? Like, what do you think the perception of you is? Who's Shawn?
Who's Shawn? Shawn is a reliable agent. I think that that's what my clients and people really think about me is like, I'm really just here. I'm always here. I try to make myself as available to my clients and just my community as best as I can. I'm also a mom, so I'm super busy. I think that's a big part of my identity. So kind of blending those two things has been really fun and interesting to see how that's sort of evolved over the last several years with 4 little kids and keeping a business like this going. So I think with that being said, still, I think, I really try to make sure that I'm still here for people when they need me the most.
Yeah. And it's fun for me because I've seen you not as a mom, and now a mom, and now a super busy mom.
Yeah.
I saw you in a different career than I saw you in this career. But your moral compass has always kind of remained the same. Now you're from the East Coast though, originally.
Originally from New York.
Yeah.
Yep, New Yorker, and then Massachusetts, Boston, now Midwesterner.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. So happy
But
to be.
your personality is more Midwest nice than it is East Coast busy.
It's been an evolution, but yeah, that's fair to say. I think we've come a long way.
I love that. So maybe explain where your moral fiber comes from. Because as I'm talking with people about this and we're talking about who you are, I have never experienced you not try to do the right thing for your clients over and over again. Now, I don't want to get too deep into real estate but this is about you and who you are. You're just morally sound. So where does that come from?
Well, I was brought up that way, right? I mean, I think it's important to always like go back to your roots and know where you've come from. My parents are like that. My family's always been like that. I've always had a passion for people. It's always been something that's really been important to me as a person is just relationships and making sure my relationships are honored and sound. Prior to being in real estate, I worked in healthcare. So I think that that sort of helps just with the way that I treat people and sort of exist in this really interesting industry and space. I have this sort of background of sort of helping people for most of my career in different facets of it. And so I think it really started sort of deep with that. But, having an upbringing that sort of supported that, I think that that's really where it came from.
Mom and dad. It's funny how
Mom
that.
and dad, yeah. And they've been a really big supporter of all of the things that I've done and watched me sort of pivot in my career and been really supportive of our real estate investments and sort of bringing that into play and been a key component of that for us as well.
Yeah, I think whenever I talk with agents, and it's quite often because they're kind of the lifeblood of my business. And you know that we've talked about that a million times. Like we vent to each other about a lot of different things within this industry. I always find the most successful real estate agents and really loan officers as well are those that one can read people well, and then two, they can kind of chameleonize their personality to the individual that they're working and or talking with, right? And you have a skill like that, none other, right? I think you're one of the best at it. And I don't know if you want to share about kind of where that talent has come from or how it's evolved, as you were saying before about kind of your moral fiber. But I think it's a talent that not a lot of people have, as I said, but I love talking with you because you just have this different idea with different people and how to communicate with them differently to help get the point across.
Well, thank you. That's a really big compliment. Really appreciate that. And it's not something that I haven't worked on. It didn't come naturally, but I've been in careers where that's been required prior to real estate. So it did sort of really translate to this this job. Prior to being in real estate, I worked in healthcare consulting. I've been in big rooms with big people and had to help executives and people of all different levels make challenging decisions, specifically around change. And when we think about real estate, that's a huge component of it. And so I think that there's a huge correlation between what I used to do in my career as a consultant and what I do today in my career as essentially a real estate consultant. So there's a lot of alignment. Prior to that, I've helped people get new jobs, right? I worked in recruiting. I know how to help people identify what's right and good for them, and that also really translates well to real estate. So I think like just my training, my background, just my experience with executives, C-suites, different types of people of all walks of life and facets, and helping them make big decisions really has helped me in this job.
Yeah, I mean, you've you literally help people in their most difficult times of their life, right? Either one, when they are changing careers, or two, when they're buying the biggest purchase of their life, which is a home typically, right? So you've been on both sides of that in a career spectrum. So you've seen the worst of people, you've seen the best of people, um, which really probably molds who you have become. Now, you're never brazen to it, though. You always embrace it. So I don't know, maybe give me a story, or do you have a real estate story that will stick with you forever?
Um, yeah, I mean, that's a hard question to answer because there's so many. I think part of being a real estate agent and why I love it so much is what you just said and helping people to make that huge decision. And I guess I can't name necessarily one, but I remember when I helped someone buy a house who just truly thought they would never buy a house. They thought it was not possible. They were actually, well, I guess I do have an example. They were the first in their family, their entire family, generations to ever own a home. And they didn't buy a huge expensive property. They bought a property that made sense for them financially, but they became a homeowner. And the excitement of being part of that journey was like nothing else. And I love that about this. I love that we get to help people who are, going to be the first in their family to do something or, make, a huge investment that they've worked so hard for. So there are so many, but I guess that one really does stick out. It's been recent. You guys helped us with that one too. And just getting that individual to the closing table was pretty special because she was so happy. And, that was a different type of fire for me. And she really was so appreciative of all the things that we did to help get her those keys and a safe place for her family and stability and things like that. It was really special.
That's awesome. So I'm going to pivot a little bit, and I just want to talk to you about your husband,
Oh,
because
God. Okay.
he's amazing. Zach is awesome. So just so people know, Zach is kind of a jack of all trades in a lot of ways. He's a handyman, he's a flipper and a fixer, he's hands-on, but he's also techie. He has all these different skills about him that I absolutely love and adore. Um, but you guys met in a very unique fashion, and maybe you can kind of tell the story because I think not enough people know this story.
I know you love this
I
story.
do. I
You
absolutely
really
love
do
this
love the
story.
story.
So tell me how you and Zach met. I know I've heard it, but I think it'll be fun for people to understand it.
Yes. So my husband and I met in 2014 in Boston, where we were both invited to a networking event for young professionals. I was supporting that as the president of the organization for a hospital, and he was friends with the person who was basically doing the planning of the event. We met. We had a nice chat. He called me Rachel. I was like, who is this guy showing up to a bar with a suitcase? He was living here in the Midwest. I was living in Boston. We chatted, spoke for the evening, and I was like, okay, gotta go. See you later. And then later that night, I was like, I wonder who that was. Like, back then, you used Craigslist for funny things like misconnections.
Yeah.
It does not exist anymore. And I thought to myself, I wonder if there's a chance. So I just went on to Craigslist and checked the misconnections. And lo and behold, there was a message to someone named Rachel from some nameless person. And I was like, well, that sounds an awful lot like the conversations that we've had tonight at the bar. And I responded to the misconnection. And 2 days later, we went out on our first date. And then I moved here. We were married 3 years later and been married for 8.5 years and have a lot of kids.
Such a good story. Obviously, we joke about, misconnections, and we've joked about the Craigslist killer, and thank goodness.
Yes. Yeah. That
He
was
was.
not the situation.
But
That was what started the discussion about
yeah,
Craigslist, I
naturally.
should say. Yeah.
Naturally. But Zach's amazing. He has so many good stories. I love talking with him, but I always love hanging out with you. Now, one of the things that we are both passionate about is the Milwaukee Brewers.
Mhm.
You become a Brewers fan over time,
Yeah.
just being here, and you just love baseball in general. But you guys have a tradition too that you guys go to opening day every year.
Yeah, we do.
And lately I've been invited, luckily, to be a part of that, my team and I, and it's been so much fun. And you guys do some fun, quirky traditions with it, like making a lamb cake.
Yeah. Yeah, we did do that. Yeah.
And doing fun stuff like that. What is it about Wisconsin or the Midwest that makes you feel at home?
It's funny. So my husband was very strategic in bringing me out here when I unknowingly was being coerced to move here. And so when we started dating, he was flying me out here because I was living in Boston, and he flew me out here for all of the things that make Milwaukee what it is. Opening day, Summerfest, State Fair, all those big festivals that we have over the summer. And it really did just feel like home. I think I was also really ready for a change and to leave the East Coast and start something new. I was immediately embraced by the people here. I felt really connected to a lot of what Milwaukee has to offer. Um, I also remember very explicitly thinking, man, it's cheap to buy real estate here. um, when we first started just kind of looking at houses in comparison to where I was living in Boston, I couldn't believe it. But I've made some really, really good friends here. And interestingly enough, a lot of my best friends here are all East Coasters. It's kind of funny. We've all sort of found each other. But other than that, I mean, a really good, solid group of friends that I got sort of insta connected to. Zach's originally from the Wisconsin Dells. People do grow up there. But has this really good group here, and they just welcomed me right in, and that was really helpful in sort of making this huge life change to live here, and I haven't looked back.
That's awesome. So speaking of your friends, like, I think I'm one of your friends.
You are one of my friends.
I appreciate it. You're somebody that I can call when I'm having a bad day and you'll cheer me up. But what about your other friends? What would they say is a classic Shawn?
Oh, that I always call. That, like, you text me and I'll call you. People hate that.
Unless we have like an epic GIF battle going back and forth.
Well, that's just a view. Yeah, that's fun. But yeah, I think that's really a thing. I appreciate a phone call. I really do. I like talking on the phone. I think it's like a lost thing. I just think you can really get more out of conversations. And so yeah, they would probably say that Shawn always calls me. I guess I don't care. But yeah.
You're a big Friends fan,
Yeah.
the TV show,
Yep.
and so am I.
Yep.
If you had to like pick a character that you feel you're most like on Friends, who's that?
Oh my gosh, I think it depends on the day. Yes. Like I really we were watching the other day and I was like, "Oh yeah, I totally have like Monica vibes." 'Cause like I can be a little like controlling, like a little OCD, like
That doesn't sound.
yeah, no, it's definitely true.
Yeah.
But I also can be kind of aloof and, all that. I don't know. It's a really hard question. I don't know if I could pick one.
No, I think it's a good question because I think how you're answering is exactly right. Everybody can be relatable at
Yeah.
any moment because I can be the nerdy Ross for sure, like analytical and data guy. And then I can be the hey buddy Joey. and then I can be the, off the cuff pun, witty Chandler, right? So I think it is a good question. It's a very relatable show. You and I talk about it all the time. Billy, who's in my office and part of my team, you and him talk about it all the
Yep.
time because he's actually even more obsessed than we are
He
in a
might
lot of
be, yeah.
ways, which is crazy. But um, Friends is such a wonderful show because it kind of gives a peek into our lives a little bit and who you want to be and who you are. And I think that's what's best about it. So um, maybe I'll flip the script. What kind of questions do you have for me?
Oh gosh, I wasn't prepared to flip the script,
You're
make it
welcome.
fake.
You're welcome.
Um, did you always anticipate a career in mortgages?
Ooh, good question. No, I didn't. Um, so I had a different career path. Like I went to school to be a police officer originally,
I think I knew that.
which you may or may not have known. Almost a lot of people don't know this. Um, I think I ended up liking the idea of being a cop instead of actually being one, and the what goes on with being one. And so, while I was going to school to be a police officer, I ended up um, having a retail job selling cell phones, actually. And I was really good at that, just helping people and talking to people and learning their needs and wants. And I called it consultative selling, essentially. It was just finding out what they want and then from there providing it. But while I was doing that, I had multiple bankers actually come up to me who were clients, if you will call them that. And they said, you should get into mortgages. And this was in 2010. So it was shortly after the crash, right? And I'm like, that sounds like a terrible idea. But I met a couple of people with it. And then a few years passed, and a friend of mine who I was playing on a softball team with said, hey, you should meet my boss. He's in mortgages. And that was 15 years ago or so. And that guy was Jody Ulrich, who's my area manager, who was one of our first guests. Um, and it was the best decision I ever made. But in that time frame when bankers told me I should get into that career and then finally finding Jody, I had a few different jobs that totally prepared me for this. And if I would have just jumped right into it when I was told by the bankers to do it, I wouldn't have been ready for it. So no, I don't think anybody wakes up and dreams, oh, I should get into mortgages. But there's a book called The Alchemist. Um, and it's kind of somebody that's on a journey to find a treasure. And that treasure is wealth and money and riches, if you will. But um, as he goes on this journey to find that, he ends up meeting so many different types of people throughout it. And he has so many different types of experiences throughout it. I am realizing kind of in my journey right now of 15 years in the mortgage industry, the wealth isn't necessarily the money that I've been making or the success that I've been having, luckily. It's the people that I've been helping and the others that I have changed their lives. I think I have changed the lives of a lot of my teammates, a lot of my business partners. Um, and that's been uber fun to do. So thanks for asking that question. That was interesting. I don't know if I've really publicly shared that story.
Yeah, I think I knew a little bit of that background,
Yeah.
but I not all of it. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. So getting into mortgages again, I don't think anybody says, yeah, I want to do that when they grow up, right?
Yeah.
You want to be a cop or a firefighter or something like that, or a doctor. Um, but owning our craft, my craft, and having a team that really, truly cares about individuals has been the most rewarding thing I've ever experienced.
Yeah, and it's really interesting too. I think about like just the landing of me in real estate as well has been one of those things where I'm not entirely sure I would be where I am and the success of my business if I had been here from day one, come out of college, said,
Sure.
I'm going to sell real estate. I think just like you, having that road sort of paved with all the experiences and the different, aspects of sort of learning as you go. I feel much more confident about being able to do this job well and advise now than I probably would have, even, 10 years ago.
You're a very small part, or let me rephrase it. I'm a very small part of you probably becoming a real estate agent. And we've talked about this.
Well, okay, sure.
I mean, because you were a client first, and then you said, "Oh, I could totally be a good real estate advisor," right? And you and I worked together first as a client basis, and then you said, "Well, if I do this as a real estate advisor, I would want Jake and his team alongside me because I know what they provide and how they help." And so from that aspect, I feel a responsibility to treat you and everybody that we work with at such a high level because you never know when we can help change somebody else's life, not just buying a home, but also maybe a career change
Yeah.
like you. So I don't take this for granted. Every day that comes by, it just does have a true big purpose to it. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, for
But,
sure.
all right, let's keep on. Let's keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
Um, what makes a first time home buyer fun to work with? You kind of have talked about this before, but I think that's kind of your forte. You really love taking people under your wing and
I really
assisting
do.
them.
I really do. I love it. They're so excited. They are most of the time willing to learn. And I think that when you have someone who walks into a house for the first time and is like a deer in headlights, it's like really fun to help shape that experience into something. And there's so many different types of buyers, but I truly do understand the first time home buyer. They walk in and they stand there and they're like, okay, so what do we do? And, getting the opportunity to sort of like guide them and help them experience a home and point out the things that they don't even think about, right? I was in a home yesterday and I was explaining the importance of a laundry chute to somebody, and they were like, "What is a laundry chute?" So just helping them to realize like the fun of homeownership. That's why I love first time home buyers. I think that they're so excitable and I don't want to say moldable, but you can help them to realize things that they don't even know they can realize, and that's really fun.
Yeah, they don't know what they don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we've taught people like, hey, you can actually save more money by doing things in a very different way. And for you, you're like, hey, we can negotiate in a very different way to win. And in this market, that is so mandatory.
Yeah.
And you do such a good job. And I think you're one of the best at negotiating on behalf of clients for in within their best interest to win. And that's cool to see. So whenever you have a buyer, I'm always excited because I know they're going to be in good hands. But what's what's the off day look like for Sean though? Let's go back to personal life a little bit. What do you do when you're not working? Although I think we're always working in this industry a little bit. So if you were to have a free day, what would you be doing?
Oh my gosh. Well, I obviously am a homeowner, so kind of, that upkeep of my house has become more important as I've had more and more children. I have, 4 children under 7. And so just kind of, making sure that my life sort of stays in order. But if I could have like a true day off where I didn't have to like have responsibilities, um, I wouldn't even relax. I'm not like a sit down on the couch and, like, watch TV or even read a book, like, I wanna be, like, out doing something. So even if it's just, like, being out of the house, taking a walk, going, out to lunch, even if it's by myself, like, I am a person who does better staying in motion. Sometimes in my off days, I like to just go look at houses that are on the market, just to see what's out there because, again, we are always working, but it's like you just never know if someone's gonna ask a question, and I feel like it's always really nice to be prepared. I was just like to see what's out there and experience this, area that we live in, and, a friend of mine, a colleague, actually, we've sort of made it a thing where, typically on Mondays, we'll go see a house that's been in the market in a neighborhood that we're unfamiliar with or that I'm more unfamiliar with just to get a little bit, more, insight into it, and I think that's so fun.
Yeah.
'Cause I also love architecture, I love looking at architecture, so getting the opportunity to look at houses like that is super fun. But then I also, like, love a day just to go and hang out with my kids somewhere, right? Go take them to ice cream or just something super low key or just, like, sometimes we just like to go walk around Target, and, it always costs me, like, $200 because, I have 4 kids. But, I don't know, really anything, go to a game, go hang out with Zach, but we're just very busy right now
Yeah.
in sort of the thick of our life, so
Yeah, for sure. What's the most misunderstood part about you?
well, you said that I'm more Midwest nice now. I think that is something that, like, sort of you've learned about me. I think that people, like expect a little like East Coast harshness, which I really don't think I portray, but I think that there's like a little bit of that still lingering, like, you know, not being from here and not understanding the Midwest, but I'm here now.
Yeah, you definitely are. And when I say you don't have an East Coast in you, that's not necessarily true. Like, you definitely will advocate for the people you work with and the people that you partner with, and you'll be very stern in your thoughts.
And I have to be.
Yes, yes. And so from that standpoint, you can definitely be who you are. So I love that. All right, so let's do some hot take stuff. You ready?
Okay.
Okay, okay. Uh, First showing, is the excitement you have real or fake?
Oh, it's real.
Yeah, your genuine personality. Buyers should see 3 homes or 30 homes?
10.
10. Oh, let's expand on that. Okay, why is that the number?
I think 3 is a little bit too few unless you really like are looking for something super specific. And I think 30 is way too many. I'm working with a client right now that I've shown her 87 houses.
87.
87 houses. Okay. So that's just houses I've shown her. She's gone to several open houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, 87. That's way too many. So I think 30 is erring on the side of probably too many.
Phone call, this was say text message, but we're gonna change it. Phone call or a voice memo?
Phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're hard on the phone calls. I
don't like voice memos. They disappear.
No, yeah,
And then I was like, I don't know. There's things you have to do with your hands. I don't like it.
I like the phone call. Give me a Compass hot take. So you're a real estate agent. You work at Compass. You've been there for a few years now. You love it.
Yeah.
Give me a hot take about Compass.
We have like the most proprietary tech in the business. We have the ability to do stuff with our business that other brokerages just don't have. And if you want to learn more about that, you can call me.
Nice. Not text. Call.
Call me.
A Milwaukee area hidden gem.
Washington Heights.
You okay? So you live in Washington Heights. You own quite a few properties around your house. Why is Washington Heights awesome?
Washington Heights is awesome because it is like the perfect blend of metro and like minor suburbia, right? Like we're a neighborhood. We're so close to everything. We have like the most amazing community in the Heights. We have just things that go on there that just make it so special. It's walkable. It's fun. The architecture is cool. The people there are cool. Yeah, we love where we live. That's for sure.
It's super historic, and there's a good story behind Washington Heights. If you have never heard it, go watch the documentary Making Milwaukee. It's actually pretty interesting. Best Wisconsin season.
Fall.
Yeah. Maybe a
It's,
pumpkin spice latte.
maybe it depends. No, not really. So really, winter's really cold. Summer's really hot. I'm a spring and fall kind of person.
Sure.
I like mid 70s, like high 60s. That's where I thrive.
Yeah, that's your zone.
That's my zone.
In there. I'm a summer through and through. Like if it's 90, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
I guess I'm 90 if I can like experience a body of water.
No, okay, yeah. Well, there's plenty of that around here. So, you're not an old-fashioned drinker, are you?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet or sour then?
No, it's press. It's in the middle.
Wow, see, everybody's been saying press lately. That's pretty
Because
important.
that's the right way to do it.
Okay, perfect. All right. Open houses, useful or just snacks and awkward small talk?
I have been to very few open houses with snacks. So like tell me where those are because I'm going.
People have to provide them.
But yeah. I think they're useful. I've personally recently held several open houses. I've had buyers walk in off the street unrepresented and write offers. I think that they're definitely still worth it.
Okay, can you explain? Maybe let's expand. What's the value for the seller, and then what's the value for potential buyer?
So value for the seller is exposure, right? I mean, if people don't even know that they want to buy a house, but they're been, thinking maybe it's a possibility and they walk into one that's open and, they might not have been set up in, an MLS search or in a collection or anything like that. They might not be active on the bigger platforms to be searching and they might just see a sign and walk in. You just never know. Like, why not give that opportunity to your sellers? In fact, had 2 this weekend. I'm having one tomorrow. I think it's just a, free opportunity for people to just come in and see a house. For the buyers, I think, that's a big component of it. For the sellers, I just think, if they can accommodate it, it's just more eyes on your property. You just never know who's going to walk in the door.
Sure. Yeah, well, that makes sense. Well, I appreciate your insight because I think everybody's opinion of an open house is completely different,
Yep.
especially in our
Snacks
world.
thing, I'm like,
We need more snacks.
we need more snacks.
Baking cookie smell. One thing every adult should learn by the age of 25.
Um, well, that's an interesting one because I feel like there's some lost arts recently. Like people don't know how to like write in cursive anymore and like balance a checkbook. I think that those are some
Balance a checkbook.
Set
That is a hot take.
like feels so
Well,
like
let's talk about
yeah.
balance and check for a second because I have an app that I can just go on and double check my balance.
I don't have an. I mean, I have an app, but like people still use checks. I don't know, maybe not. Um, I don't know. That's a hard. That's a hard one. I think there's a lot of things you should learn by the time you're 25.
Yeah, I'm pretty
How to put on a duvet cover, like that's a hard one too.
okay. Shit, I'm pretty set on the people need to learn finances by the age of 25. I would say that our school systems need to do a better job of probably training people how to look at finances and how to properly set themselves up.
Yeah, I that's actually a really good perspective because I do hear a lot and more recently, especially with some different types of buyers, they say, I just didn't understand the importance of credit. And I know that when I was in college, I definitely got bamboozled by those credit card companies that give you a lot of free swag and then you don't pay it off and then you have 25% interest rates and it tanks your credit and you don't even realize what you're doing. So I think just more insight into that is really important, right? And, like, I think the joke is, like, it's not, hexagon season or something like the whatever it is, and it's, we need to understand our taxes and what credit really is and how it affects your life and being able to do things like buy a home.
My home, yeah. So I think the average homeowner, first time homeowner, is now around 40.
Yeah, which is kinda crazy.
And when I got in the industry, and about the same time you got in, the average age was 30. So it's risen a lot. Now there's multitudes of reasons behind that, but I think part of it is definitely financial literacy,
Mhm.
and the fact that people should start learning stuff at the age of 25 or less. Give me a hill you'll die on. Like, give me a take. Give me something that you're like, nope, this is definitely something that needs to happen or not happen.
Um, Buyers need their own representation.
I love this. Okay, let's.
This is a hill I will die on. I appreciate the, multiple representation for people, but I think it's really, really, really important. And I know that's like been a topic of conversation in our industry for a while now, especially with the changes made by NAR, but representation is key.
Yeah, so if you're driving down the road and you see a sign, you don't just call the sign because that's the listing agent. You're saying you should have a buyer's agent representing you
Yeah,
while buying a
absolutely.
home from a listing agent. I didn't know that when I first got into the industry. I thought that's what the sign was for. But you're right. I think there should be a representation on the buy side, which there kind of is legally, but um, because it protects, I think, both sides then, correct? And you've had experiences with that, like the protection ways, um, the procuring cause behind everything. But real estate's got so many interesting quirks to it about rules and regulations. So I think direct representation is very, very important.
Yeah, because I think that no matter what people say, it's truly really difficult to be completely unbiased. And so when you are a seller's agent and your fiduciary is to your sellers, how could you be truly unbiased to your buyer as a representative as well? So I just think in that case, it's really, really important for a buyer to have their own representation.
I agree. All right, last one.
And they weren't on a break.
They were on a break. Um,
Oh, no.
I knew it. If you could remove one annoying thing from real estate forever, what would it be?
Just one? Just kidding.
Start with one.
One annoying thing for real estate forever. The non so information that's in MLS, timelines, finding acceptance, deadlines, and things like that not being honored. And the big pivots away from those things that cause people to have to make very big decisions with very little notice or not have opportunity because they missed out because the seller decided to make a change to their response timeline. I like to say to my sellers if the offer is there, today, most likely it'll be there tomorrow. And so just being fair in that because I've had situations where we thought we had a minute and then we don't have a minute and everyone gets upset about that. So, I just think, like, honoring what you put out there is just, important.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. All right. We're gonna close down with our final three questions that we typically ask everybody. So, what's something you're proud of that nobody sees?
Everything that happens behind the scenes in my life, I have 4 small children, I
Getting them to bed on time.
Yeah. Well, they're pretty good. They're alright. Yeah, I mean, having 4 kids under the age of 7 and owning my own business and owning multiple, investment properties and managing investment properties for other people, it's a lot of work, and I try to stay pretty cool on the outside while underwater, my feet are like this. So yeah, I say people probably don't see a lot of the, the crazy that happens to, like, keep it together on the outside.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive what you do. I know how many properties you own, so and on top of that, how many properties you manage, and then people that you serve, and kids that you also take care of, and mom. What's one habit that changed your life?
One habit that changed my life. Um, wow, that's a hard question.
All right, well, you think I'll tell you what mine is because I don't think we've done that yet.
Okay.
Mine is waking up earlier.
Oh, yeah, I don't do that.
Yeah. So once I started waking up earlier, I got so much more accomplished throughout my day, and then prepped me for my day and woke me up for the things that I really needed to grab the bull by the horns, if you will.
Yeah, I would love that to be my habit, but I don't sleep anyway. So, yeah, that's a tricky one for me. I think if I had to sort of pick one, really focusing on a calendar because, and interestingly enough, I was late today because my calendar was in a different time zone. But making sure to check on my calendar because I try to keep it all in my head, and I've realized that that's not a good place for all of the information. So making sure that I keep track of that kind of stuff in a more defined way.
Calendars are key.
They are. They are key.
It's a good habit.
I really try to keep it all in my brain, and it's never good.
All right, who should we have on CTC next? Now, this is important because some people have requested people that are being selected. So, who should we have on the podcast next?
So, this is a person that has really changed my real estate life, and has sort of really mentored me and helped me to become, the agent that I aspire to be, and is and helping me to realize that. So Sharporg all
All
the
right.
way. You knew what I was going to say.
I knew you were going to say
I
Char.
know.
Char's
Like,
great.
Char's great.
She's a staple in Milwaukee.
She is. She's a stable in Milwaukee, and she's really helped me to realize my real estate potential. And there's no one like her. So I say
That's
go for
awesome.
it.
That's a good pick. I like that. Well, thanks for watching CTC. I'm Jake. See you next time.